At 5 o'clock, so let's call our meeting to order. This is the 39th meeting of the 144th Council of the Corporation of the City of St. Thomas. Any disclosures of interest from any of the members? Seeing none, we'll go to minutes.
I have a motion that the minutes of the meetings held on November the 4th, 2024 be confirmed. Moved by Councillor Peters, seconded by Councillor Clark.
Questions or comments on minutes? Councillor Baldwin-Sands.
Thank you. Yes, I reached out to Maria today to see if we could add some of the other conversations that took part in 6B of the minutes. Councillor Peters brought up requesting operational costs with community aquatic facility. I asked for a dedicated line in the 2025 budget to focus on fundraising, sponsorships, and any other opportunities to develop funds for the program. I also asked for a shorter time frame so the committee can work on a shorter time frame for the project, and adding the letters of support, including the recently received one from the mayor of the township of Yarmouth, to be forwarded to the committee so that the consultant has all of that information as well. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, are those additions to minutes okay?
Your worship, previously, I believe you had mentioned about any letters of support for an aquatic or recreation center to be forwarded to the committee. So I believe that direction has already been given by council. I believe the minutes talk about the need to obtain operational costs as well as the capital cost, excuse me, and about initiating fundraising efforts for a community center as well. As far as the shorter timeframes, as the report PRF 2424 had timeframes included within the report, there was no indication to change those timeframes. So without direction from council to make that change, I am unable to make that change in the minutes, as that was not the direction of council through the resolution.
Okay. Councillor Baldwin-Sands.
Thank you very much, and I thank Maria for that clarification.
Thank you. All right. Other than the discussion we've just had on minutes, anything further on minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Carried.
Council will now resolve itself into committee of the whole to deal with the following business. Your worship, I wonder if we can just skip ahead to the presentation from Jim Hogan from Integris. He is on the line right now. If we could take that at this time.
I think that makes great sense. So, Mr. Hogan, are you with us today? Look at that. And he magically appears.
There we go. Yes. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor and all of council. And I'm going to try and share my screen to do the PowerPoint presentation that I had forwarded. And can council see that presentation?
Yes.
Great. Thank you, council, and pleased to be here to talk about the 2023 results. And this is part of the 2024 annual general meeting for the shareholders of Integris. And did the screen change?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. I had trouble one other time. I just want to make sure we got her going. That's awesome. So Integris Inc., that's the company that City of St. Thomas is a shareholder of, and we have 4 subsidiaries: Integris Power Lines, Integris Services, Integris Transmission, and Integris Renewable. The Power Lines company, that's the one that's regulated by the Ontario Energy Board. There's a lot of reporting and a lot of rules and guidelines that we follow by the Ontario Energy Board. And one thing that the Ontario Energy Board does every year is ranks all the utilities as far as how efficient they are. And Integris is in the first cohort, so as part of the group of utilities that are some of the most efficient in the province. So it's something where we strive hard to do and very proud of. Health and safety is a priority of ours, as you can imagine. some of the work that the team does out in the field, live wires and many other activities the team does. So it's a significant focus of ours. And we spent a lot of time working with the Industrial Health and Safety Association, follow their program of the certificate of recognition. So we have a process to follow health and safety and have good communication with the staff. And we've done very, very well there. And spent a lot of time training our staff because, as I say, it's very important to keep them healthy. But what we also do is a lot out there in the community. We do get out to the various different EMS and the police and that to educate them on the risks of electricity. So it's not just our employees, but we expand to the community as well. We're a very community-focused company, and once again, provided over $400,000 in support. And we also have our staff do many different things and giving back to the communities. And for Thanksgiving, we held a luncheon in the city of St. Thomas at one of the community churches there. So it's something that we do corporately and something that our employees are very pleased to do. There's a list of the few items that we financially supported in 2023, and those are the lists that were in the St. Thomas area, but we've done many other areas as well, and in areas that we serve that are also not shareholder communities, such as Strathroy and Dutton. So we do our best to give back to the communities we serve. As far as our employees, that is our greatest resource. We still have some turnover, still quite a few retirements. But we've had a number of internal promotions, which is great. So it's provided some opportunities for the good staff that we have, and we've got 18 additional hires, which is more than 10%, probably 12% of our staff, which are brand new in the last year. So a lot of turnover again, and great opportunity for us to bring on some new skills and learn from some others that whether they're younger or bringing experience from other places. But I think it's making us a much stronger organization. And as part of the recruiting process, we do spend a lot of time with the colleges and the universities in the area, and in the St. Thomas area, we've done very well bringing on some employees that have worked at Fanshawe or studied at Fanshawe College, as well as Western University. So having this service area being St. Thomas and having the Chatham area, we're able to really attract some good skilled folks that really we may not be able to if we were only in one area. So having the two service centers has really provide us a tool to bring in some fantastic employees. As far as customers, we grew about 1% last year, which is a nice growth. We still are enhancing the tools for customers to communicate with us, and last year one of the main ones was the live chat, so they can chat virtually with our staff during regular business hours. And then once again, we had a very strong result in our customer satisfaction survey. Capital programs, we are spending a lot of money out there to upgrade our systems, over $14 million in 2023. A lot of it is replacing the old systems and having a higher voltage. This will assist us in improving the reliability for our customers. This will assist us to get ready for electrification in the industry, and that's where there'll be a lot more electric vehicles. There's the push to have more electric heating. So therefore, we need a distribution system that can handle significant growth, which we may really see in 10 to 15 years and beyond that. As you can see, a couple of projects that we did in St. Thomas, and then we've also had significant projects in many of our other service territories. Also, new technology is key in our investments, some smart grids, such that the system can self-heal on its own, and we get more information in order to where to do the next investments. And I'd also say a big thing that we've been working on for a couple of years in the St. Thomas area is getting an additional breaker at the Edgeware station. We all know there's significant growth happening because of the Volkswagen plant there. That's going to be a separate feed, but there's a lot of other growth that's going to be happening, and therefore that station is beyond capacity. And we've been working really, really hard with Hydro One, and we hope to have some good news in the next year or so, such that we'll be there to continue to support all of the growth in the region. We have the Integris Services. That's where we have the data center. The data center is still a strong business. Integris Transmission, supporting the renewable generation Chatham-Kent. So there's still, revenue there, and I expect that to continue for quite some time. Our Integris Renewable, as you recall, we have a 15% stake in the North Kent Wind Project. And again, that is providing dividends that, as expected, actually stronger dividends than were expected when we first reviewed best investment. So it's still been a very good investment and a great opportunity for Integris and its shareholders. So as far as 2023, the financial results, we had another strong year. We exceeded our targets. And a big part of that is our core business being the distribution business, but the other areas have been quite successful. In the core business, our gross margin has improved. It's up by about 6.7%, and that again is through customer growth as well as the inflation rate increase that was approved by the Ontario Energy Board. Our expenses did go up by 7%, and that a lot of that's activity locate, so that's good. We're out getting ready for new subdivisions, things like that, some storm recovery. And then also, as we continue to invest in our system, the depreciation's higher, and then we're borrowing some dollars in order to pay for that investment, so our interest costs go up. And that's where the next line is, where almost 5% increase in the property, plant, and equipment. So the investments we've made in the distribution system. We still have a strong balance sheet, so we have less than 60% debt, which is the guideline from the Ontario Energy Board. And then something that we're very proud of, last year in 2023, we did the largest dividend in the history of Integris, and a lot of that had to do with the partnership that we had in 2022 and 2023 with our utility corridor. We were able to have another partner on there and able to share that windfall with our shareholders. So as far as the annual general meeting, there's 3 items that we look for approval from our shareholders. First off is approving the audited financial statements for the year, which everybody has. And then recommending and approving the board members for the Integris Inc. board member. And you see those are the various board members. And then 2 that are directly recommended and appointed by the City of St. Thomas as a shareholder is Councillor Steve Wookey, and then Joe Brophy, who is an independent utility business representative. And then the third one is that we would be appointing MNP as the auditors for the 2024 year end. So with that, Mr. Mayor, that's my presentation, and I'm here to answer any questions from any council members.
Well, I think we'll first ask, is there any questions from members of council on the presentation that Mr. Hogan's just given us? Seeing none, then I believe there's some recommendations or votes we must have. Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Your Worship. I have a motion that council adopt the following Integris Inc. shareholder resolutions. 1, that the audited consolidated financial statement of Integris Inc. for the financial year ending December 31st, 2023 be approved. 2, that the following persons be appointed as directors to the Integris Inc. board, as shown on the list: Max Fantas, Pat McMahon, Helen Ladis, Councillor Brock McGregor, Mayor Darren Caniff, Lindsay Boyd, Seth Whitney, Councillor Steve Wookey, Joe Brophy. And 3rd, that MNP be appointed as the auditors for Integris Inc. for the year ending December 2024. Moved by Councillor Baldwin-Sands, seconded by Councillor Herbert.
I'll take discussion on the total of all 3, and we'll vote as if all 3 were connected. And if there's anything separated needed, please let us know. So questions and comments. Councillor Wookey.
Thanks, Your Worship. As one of the representatives here, and Councillor Clark is involved very much as well, I just want to say that I have the full confidence in the management team at Integris They keep us informed. I'm not a utility expert, and they're very patient when I ask all the questions that I ask regarding what's going on, and it's a healthy business. And I think the taxpayers of the city of St. Thomas are getting good value for their money. And if my colleagues or anybody in the public has any questions, they can certainly direct them my way. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for taking on that responsibility. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none on all three resolutions. All those in favor? Any opposed? That they're all carried.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor and all of council. Hope you have a good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Hogan, for joining us tonight.
Welcome.
Your worship, we'll now move into strategic direction and development. First item relates to the Dalewood Water Reclamation Facility.
If I can speak to that one, we were bringing that forward this evening. A discussion has taken place this afternoon with Central Elgin and myself, and we talked more about how we're moving forward and what we're doing. And because we're working cooperatively together with Central Elgin, and much of the reclamation facility is to help us honor a commitment we've made in a compensation agreement with Central Elgin. We'd like to have just a little bit more conversation, so we won't ask you to vote on this tonight. We'll be bringing it back next week for us to have a little further conversation. I, of course, have been away a little bit, and some of these conversations that might have taken place have not, so I'll take full responsibility that we'll, in the next 7 days, cover off the rest of this conversation and bring it back to us next Monday night at council. So next item.
Thank you, Your Worship. Next item is notice of a public meeting to take place by Zoom on November the 28th, 2024 from the Committee of Adjustment, and that's at 10 a.m. for an application for permission by Miles Wilson to permit a new carport at 105 Sunset Drive in an open space and park zone, whereas the open space zone does not permit buildings and structures except for park, conservation works, recreation centers, cemeteries, parking lots, and municipal works. Your Worship, unless there are any further items from the members for this committee, we'll now move into community engagement and services. There are no items on the agenda at this time unless there are any items from the members. Seeing none, Your Worship, we'll now move into infrastructure and civic operations. The first item relates to an RFP award for nurse call system and access control hardware and software replacement. I have a motion that report VV0424 relating to that RFP award be received for information, and further, council award RFP 2024-019 to Media Multicom Communications, Inc. in the amount of $527,000 excluding HST. Moved by Councillor Wookey, seconded by Councillor Gibson.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Carried.
Unless there are any further items from the members under infrastructure, we'll now move into corporate governance. We've done the first item. The second item relates to 2025 emergency alternatives for council. I have a motion that report CC 0924 relating to the 2025 emergency alternatives be received for information, and further that council establish the roster of council members to serve as an alternate to the mayor for the year 2025 in the event of a municipal emergency should the mayor not be available. Starting in January with Councillor Clark, and then proceeding alphabetically, going over the list more than once and ending with Councillor Kohler in December. Moved by Councillor Wookey, seconded by Councillor Herbert. Thank you.
Questions or comments on the emergency list? And I'd like to thank you all for those that filled in this year at times when I couldn't be here. So this is what this list helps us do. Questions or comments? Seeing none, nobody's declining. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried.
Next item relates to the 2025 council meeting schedule. I have a motion that report CC 0824 relating to the 2025 council meeting schedule be received for information, and further that the regular council meetings for January 2025 be scheduled for Monday, January the 13th and Monday, January the 27th, 2025. And further, that the regular council meetings for the summer be scheduled for Monday, July 14th and Monday, August the 11th, 2025. Moved by Councillor Kohler, second by Councillor Clark.
Questions or comments? Counselor Clark.
Just a comment and maybe clarification through the city clerk. When would be an appropriate time to talk about, I know it's by bylaw, so about changing the meeting schedule? If we wanted to move the time, or if we want to move off of Mondays to always Tuesdays, when would be the most opportune time to have that type of discussion?
Madam Clerk.
Your worship, we are planning on having a rather lengthy discussion about the procedural bylaw and other governance topics. And I believe that's scheduled either late 2025, yes, in the year 2025 to be ready for 2026. So we can discuss any number of meeting dates, times, et cetera.
Further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Carried.
Next item relates to the 2025 water rates, fees, and charges. I have a motion that report ES 4724 relating to the 2025 water rates, fees, and charges be received for information, and further the council direct that a bylaw be prepared to amend water bylaw 44-2000 Schedule A to reflect the proposed 2025 water rates, fees, and charges. Moved by Councillor Wookey, seconded by Councillor McCauley.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Carried.
Next item relates to the 2025 sewer service rates. I have a motion that report ES 4824 relating to the 2025 sewer service rates be received for information, and further that a council direct the bylaw be prepared to amend bylaw 172-2006, section 5.5, table 1, to reflect the proposed 2025 sewage service rates. Moved by Councillor Gibson, second by Councillor Herbert.
Questions or comments? Councillor Peters.
Thanks, Worship. Kevin, I wonder if you could just come up to the podium for a sec. Worship, it doesn't, my question really doesn't pertain, it pertains to rates, both water and sewer. But Kevin, I continue to get not a lot of calls, but the occasional call about meter readings and, suddenly getting a big bill. Built into these two, our water rates, are we looking at doing anything to ensuring that we can enhance meter reading to ensure that people aren't getting these large bills?
Mr. Diliwick.
Yes, through the mayor to Councillor Peters. So at the public meeting we had last week, I just went over quickly some of the customer notice policy for high water usages. And so if in a customer's account, let me back that up to your previous question about meter readings. 96 to 97% of the water meter accounts are actual reads. So that's a pretty good percentage of those. So that means about 500 to 600 accounts are estimated. And so if a customer account is estimated for more than 2 consecutive months, we'll contact that customer because we want to get an actual meter read. Either we get access to do that or send us in a meter read, whether that's taking a picture or calling it into our service provider, which happens to be Integris. So that's how we try to mitigate that variance between the 96 to 97%. If there's a high water usage, there's a variance report that's run on every billing cycle to flag items where there's 1.5 times your regular use, or it's only maybe 3/4 of your regular use, negative or 0, doesn't seem quite right. And so on average, there's approximately 5 to 6% of the accounts are getting flagged for those. So that's maybe 800 to 1,000 accounts through that process. Most of those are then resolved by just looking at the trends in consumption. So, pool filling, watering your garden, maybe you're away for the holiday season or something like that. So most of those can be solved just by looking at those trends. But the notice policy is that if the first month you have a high water bill, no customer contact is made at that point in time because it could just be an one-off. It could be that you do have a leaky faucet or your toilet's running or something like that. But if you have a consecutive high water bill, the second one or the third one continues to go, then we make contact with them, with the customer, to advise them of the high water usage and work with them to try to figure out what that might be. Usually advising them to contact the plumber, because if it's ratcheting up through the water meter, it means it's leaking on the private side and we need to solve that somehow. We do have a catastrophic water loss program, so we can provide assistance to customers that may have been away for the week and that happened because coincidences do happen, to try and help alleviate those high water bills that come in as a result of those.
Great. Thanks, Your Worship. Thanks, Kevin. I
Thank
know
you.
the public would, well, I knew you had said it at the public meeting, but not everybody would be watching the public meeting, and this was a good opportunity. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Councillor Herbert, sorry.
Thank you, Worship. So I noticed that when I was reading through that, someone who has identified a high water rate and it's month after month. But if you send somebody out to confirm yes or no, even though they got an astronomical high water rate, if the meter is working properly, you charge them $150, correct? According to the report, if it's accurate, you charge them $150. Is that really working in good faith with people who are struggling with high water rates to hit them with a $150 bill? Just a question. I don't know how you come up with 150, but just curious. It was in the report.
Kevin?
Yes, through the mayor to Councillor Herbert. So you're referring to repairing a damaged water meter is $150 for the labor and equipment for after hours. So
Please use your microphone.
So it was during the normal thing, if the meter happens to be accurate, even though they're getting high rates, you hit them with a $150 service call. That's what I thought I read. It could be wrong, but that's what I thought I read.
yeah, so just sorry,
Yes,
through
please go
Mayor
ahead.
Preston, through Councillor Herbert. So in the Schedule A to the water bylaw, the $150 is to go into repair a damaged water meter after hours. So our water charges in Schedule A are on a cost recovery basis. So it's the cost for the equipment, the material, the meter itself, the labor to go out and do that. We're not looking to make profit off of this. This is only for sustainability purposes.
Okay, thank you. Had I called the vote on this one yet? I guess not. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried.
Your Worship, there are no further items on the agenda unless there are any items from the members. And seeing none, council will now reconvene into regular session. I have a motion that the recommendations, directions, and actions of council in committee of the whole, as recorded in the minutes of this date, be confirmed, ratified, and adopted. Moved by Councillor Baldwin Sands, seconded by Councillor Wookie.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Carried.
Next, we move into reports of committees. 2 reports this evening. The first one relating to heritage alteration permit for the property at 730 Talbot Street. I have a motion that report MHC 1424 relating to the heritage alteration permit for the property at 730 Talbot Street be received for information, and further, council issue a heritage alteration permit for the property at 730 Talbot Street relating to application HAP 10-24. Moved by Councillor Wookie, seconded by Councillor Herbert.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Carried.
Next is a request for alterations to the designated property at 36 St. Catherine Street. I have motion that report MHC 1524 relating to the request for alterations at 36 St. Catherine Street be received for information, and further, the council consent to the proposed alterations to install new windows at 36 St. Catherine Street, and further, that notice of council's decision be provided to the Ontario Heritage Trust. Moved by Councillor McCauley. Seconded by Councillor Gibson.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Carried.
We'll now move into petitions and communications. 2 items on the agenda. First item is a letter and information received from the Catfish Creek Conservation Authority regarding the authority's 2025 preliminary draft budget and general levy apportionment. And the second item is a letter received from the Kettle Creek Conservation Authority regarding consultation on the authority's conservation area strategy, and that's available on Kettle Creek Conservation Authority website. The deadline to provide comments is November 28th, 2024. Your worship, if there are no further items from the members under petitions, we'll now move into council unfinished business.
Any unfinished? None?
I will now move into new business of council.
Councillor Baldwin Sands, you're first.
Thank you so very much. Yesterday, with fellow members of council, I attended the Remembrance Day ceremonies at the Cenotaph. I want to take a moment to commend Councillor Gibson and her entire team on the services. They were very moving, very humbling, and very emotional. However, there is also something new that's at the Cenotaph that was done this year, and I would also like to give hats off to Councillor Gibson on that initiative as well. And I was hoping she could take a couple of minutes and explain a little bit about the poppies. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Yes, so one of our members at our Legion came up with an idea that maybe we too should have a blanket of poppies. And so Alana Rice initiated the event, and we got some community organizations, including the senior centers, the nursing homes, and other members of the community to knit or crochet 6 inches and 4-inch poppies. And Alana and her friends started putting them on this fishing net, and it measured 8 feet by 25 feet. So thank you to everyone that put in their time and their efforts, and certainly was beautiful. Yep. I was really amazed when I saw it over the Jeeps. It was very nice. Thank you.
I also have to commend Ms. Rice on the project. Councillor Peters and I kind of met there by chance after the event because we were both amazed by how beautiful it looked, and had a quick conversation with her and asked, you know, the amount of work that went into crocheting that many poppies to then put it together. It was, I don't know of anybody who was there yesterday with a camera that didn't take a picture of it. So it was gorgeous and a great addition to our ceremony. So please, when you see her again, pass on congratulations again. We're amazed by how beautiful that looked. Sorry, Councillor Peters.
Thanks, Your Worship. Also coming out of yesterday, because it was a great event. It was very well attended. I've seen on social media, we have a couple interesting crosswalk initiatives in the city around City Hall. And I've seen some that are crosswalks that have been done as a tribute to our veterans. Yep. I've also seen some too that were posted, and then I saw comments made that, no, that's not appropriate. I think it was poppies was one of them, right, painted on the road. Right. I'm just wondering if we could ask staff to look at some potential options of something that we could maybe do in the Moore Street area or Center Street area, somewhere in that beautiful Veterans Memorial Garden complex that that would be acceptable. And I'm assuming there's some things out there, but staff could maybe just take a look at that. It'd be a nice thing to implement. Thanks, Your Worship.
Well, thank you, Councillor Peters, because I had the same thought. I've had a conversation with a couple of members of the Legion, not in an official capacity as mayor or official capacity of the Legion, of what would those celebrating veterans want in that way. And I think if we're asking staff, let's ask that the Legion be involved also. This is a remembrance type of project. And we'd like to, of course, get it done before next November, if indeed it's something that would want to be. But I, like you, followed the comments on most of the requests, and they were both for and against. And I would like to make sure that those responsible for the remembrance for veterans also agree with what we're working on. So I thank you for bringing that forward, and let's pick the right one. Councillor Gibson, can I ask you to take that back to the Legion for me too, please?
I will, Your Worship. We've already had a discussion on that, and apparently there's Shelley Haycock. She's also taken the initiative to contact the committee that was in regards to the Memorial Gardens, and she's speaking with them at this past week about it as well. So I'm thinking it all around, it's a positive thing for the community, and I think it would probably move forward.
Great.
Thank you.
Happy to hear the communities involved, including the Legion, and I think we'll get it done right if we include the people who it honors. So perfect. Coming up this week is our tree lighting this Friday night in front of City Hall. And then following the tree lighting, which is always a great ceremony for the kids and Santa Claus and singing of Christmas carols and the lighting of our Christmas tree, is a program called Light Up Talbot. The Downtown Development Board group this year has put up there's horse rides up and down Talbot. There's 5 different warming stations or meeting stations that you can visit while you're out looking at the downtown merchants that are open on Friday night also. And I know out front of City Hall is one of these such stations, and you'll find most, if not all, of your council out there Friday night serving up Christmas cheer and following now maybe not the Christmas cheer you just thought of, but no, it's certainly a little bit of entertainment, a little bit of food and frivolity, and that's from 7 to 9 following the tree lighting. Also coming up Saturday morning is the Christmas market at the Horton Market, and so want to start your Christmas shopping. For those that haven't yet, shame on you, but early morning Saturday at the Horton Market, there's a number of crafts plus a full array of Christmas at the market type of projects. So please, let's see you there on Saturday morning also. And we'll talk more next week about more upcoming events like the Santa Claus Parade the following week. Any other topics under new business by any of the members? Seeing none?
We'll now move into bylaws. I have a motion that leave be granted to bring in the bylaws. Moved by Councillor Peters, second by Councillor Clark.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Carried.
I have a motion by Councillor Peters, seconded by Councillor Clark, that the bylaws be now read a first time, referred to council and committee of the whole, and read a second time.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Carried.
First bylaw, please.
First bylaw is a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council meeting held on November 12th, 2024.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Next bylaw, please.
Second bylaw is a bylaw to amend bylaw 50-88, being the zoning bylaw for the city of St. Thomas. This is to remove the holding symbol from Harvest Run Phase 3, Stage 3.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Next bylaw, please.
Third bylaw is a bylaw to amend bylaw 44-2000, being a bylaw to provide for the regulation of water supply in the city of St. Thomas.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Last bylaw, please.
Fourth bylaw is a bylaw to amend bylaw 172-2006, being a bylaw for imposing a sewage service rate in the city of St. Thomas.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Your worship, I rise and report the successful passing of 4 bylaws.
Great.
I have a motion by Councillor Peters, seconded by Councillor Clark, that the report of council and committee of the whole on the 4 bylaws be received and adopted. The same be read a third time, engrossed, signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed and numbered.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Carried.
No public notice or notices of motion this evening. There is a need to move into closed session. I have a motion that this meeting be closed to deal with 2 matters of a proposed or pending disposition of land and a personal matter about an identifiable individual. Moved by Councillor Baldwin Sands, seconded by Councillor Gibson.
I'll ask for questions and comments in a second, but as we normally do, we will be finishing our regular meeting now. We'll only go back into open session in order to move adjournment of this meeting after the closed session. So thank you all for joining us tonight, whether you're online or here in person, and we'll see you again next week. So all of those questions or comments on going into closed session? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. We are in closed session.
I have a motion that council rise from closed session. Moved by Councillor Bowman Sands, second by Councillor Gibson.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Carried.
At this time, seeing no items under open session, I have a motion for adjournment. Moved by Councillor Gibson, seconded by Councillor McCauley.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried.